Hello and welcome to Today in the News on Vanguard Live. I am Precious Chukudi. We begin with the front pages of the paper, starting off with Vanguard. Vanguard is leading with Senate set for stormy session Monday over passage of 23.7 trillion naira ways and means. I will secure Nigeria from criminals, parallel government. That's coming from Obi, as it tells Kanu supporters. Prison congestion. Federal government orders urged to activate non-custodial special funds. Burkina Faso asks French troops to leave. Tinubu will give special consideration to women, youths, and that's coming from Oluremi. Currency redesign policy fuels Naira stability at parallel market BDCs. Our candidates have no pending criminal cases, and that's coming from SDP. A new redesigned Naira notes will help check inflation. That's coming from the CBN. Also, Nigeria at critical juncture. You can read more on that story inside Vanguard newspaper. Why NDLEA, EFCC must arrest prosecute Tinubu now. That's coming from PDPPCC. You can see more on that story inside Vanguard newspaper. Also, you have 24 hours to recant. That's coming from Yahya Bello as he reacts to reported resignation from APC campaign. Nigerians more concerned about Article Gate, SPV, APC slams the PDP. Nigeria, our youth will advance forward under Tinubu's government. That's coming from APC PCC. Wike vows to resist the tyrannical dissolution of Ekiti PDP ESCO. Also, let's take a look at this one stories above. We have a beyond communication, indigenous languages as an instrument of identity and ideology. And lastly, on the front page of Vanguard, we have a Senegal Ivory Coast win to reach Chan quarter-finals. All right, let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian is leading with new banknotes, cash swap programs take off nationwide 1 week to decline, 1 week to deadline. The writer says banks yet to heed CBN's directive, stocks ATM with old banknotes. Buni begs for extension, says only 4 out of 17 councils have banks in Yobe. Zulum decries non-dispensing of a new Naira note in Borno. No cause for alarm over deadline, CBN says. New notes surface in Anambra banks after threat by CBN. Stories above, we have a 20 African heads of state private investors meet in Dakar for food security. APC presidential campaigner Mohammed declares support for Atiku other parties. Passengers stranded as train derails in Kogi. Bello strongly behind Tinubu, says Kogi APC. Stories below, we have expert predicts improved performance in H2 ahead MPC meeting. Nigeria to reactivate isolation centers over outbreak of COVID-19, deadly flu in China. All right, let's take a look at the Nation newspaper, and the Nation is leading with Kogi Governor, my support for Tinubu unshaken. APC will win by landslide, says Bello. Buhari to inaugurate deep sea port, rice mill in Lagos. Interest rates likely to go up as MPC meeting begins. All right, let's take a look at the Punch newspaper. The Punch is leading with banks battle new Naira shortage ahead deadline. The writer says Lagos SCT states ATMs dispense old notes as January 31 deadline is. CBN begins currency swap for rural unbanked Nigerians. Stakeholders foresee extension. Customers want CBN to ship grounds. You can see a photo story showing a passenger stranded in forest as Warri Takpe train derails. MK Abiola's wife sues IG, demands 100 billion naira. And we have a Chatham House pilgrimage. Nigerian politicians seek relevance in foreign land. Stories above, we have a sacked UI female lecturer petition Senate, VC summoned. PSC asks the federal government to stop 10,000 constables' salaries. Petrol may hit 800 naira per litre on subsidy removal. That's coming from the marketers. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have interest rate hike likely as MPC meets today. All right, so that's how we can take on the front pages of the papers this morning. Join us after the break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. If you're just joining us today in the news on Vanguard Life, I am Precious Chukudi. Joining me to talk about some of the stories on the front pages of the papers this morning is Mr. Ali Mohammed, the CEO of Magnet Communications, also former editor of Daily Times and Concord Newspaper. Good morning, sir. Good to have you join me this morning.
Morning, Precious. How are you?
Very well, thank you. All right, let's delve in. And of course, we're in the last week of, you know, returning of old notes, and it seems to be that CBN and commercial banks are at loggerheads on this this old note and also the circulation of new notes. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, they have to be at loggerheads because as at last weekend, the most of the ATMs were still dispensing the old notes. I don't know what happened to the new notes that have been printed by the central bank. I believe there is a problem somewhere concerning the distribution of the new notes. Unfortunately, if you go to parties, you will see currency sellers with different denominations of the new notes from 1,000 to 500 to 50 naira to 100 naira to 200. You see them with wraps of the new notes, but unfortunately, the notes are not available with the banks. I'm sure the banks will dispense what they have. That is the situation. So it is the CBN that should intensify its efforts to ensure that the new notes are distributed to banks and not to currency sellers. There must be a syndicate within the CBN that brings out all these new notes and sell to currency sellers at some rates.
Yeah, there are actually reports that some banks are actually holding the new notes for privileged customers, and that's the reason why CBN is like camping on them to, just circulate the new notes.
Well, why would the banks hold the new notes for privileged customers at the risk of being sanctioned by the CBN? We've had threats from the CBN that banks that are not. I have a friend who is a bank manager. I spoke with him last weekend. He said the volume of new notes available to them is not enough, not to even talk of reserving it for VIP customers. So it is the CBN that should make a deliberate effort to ensure that the new notes go around the banks, not keeping it and selling it to currency sellers. I was at a wedding on Saturday.
I agree with you because
I was at a wedding on Saturday, and you need to know how much these new currencies are being sold. Unfortunately, people are not buying them. Some people bought quite fine because they just want to see the colors. They've not touched it. They just want, out of being inquisitive, they just wanted to see how it looks like, and they bought. It is stupid and outrightly wrong for the circulation of new currencies among currency sellers, and the real bank customers are not getting these currencies. It is the normal practice in Nigeria. Things are not done right. Things are done in such a way that when there is a crisis, that is when people make money from such situations. I believe that the deliberate hoarding of these new currencies is to create crisis, and then some people will make money from it. It is typical of Nigerians. It is typical of our leaders that when there is a new invention in Nigeria, those in charge want to make money from it. At least for once, let us depart from this money-making syndrome and get things working. For how long are we going to stay under the leadership of those who want to make money from every bad situations that we have in Nigeria? Look at petrol. As at today, some people are smiling heavily to the banks because petrols that are meant for stations are being diverted and sold outside this country because there is a crisis. So they don't want it to end. I think we should depart from this money-making syndrome and then get the people, the masses, to enjoy once. I had to pay 300 naira per liter of fuel yesterday to get one, not from the regular filling stations, but private stations. Fuel was not available in any of the regular stations like Mobil, Total, and all that.
All right. Right. Let me just come back to this one, and is
Mm.
the fact that of course, the CBN has given us a deadline till 31st of this month. But do you think they should extend it? Because already online, I've been seeing that some maybe some outlets, food outlets and what they've been putting like dates of when they will stop collecting old note, like as
Some are already rejecting it.
yeah, so it's going to be bad for people who do not have access to the new notes, how they intend to spend money and all of that. So I saw one food outlet say from 23rd, which is
Mm,
today, they will
mm.
stop collecting old notes, and I
It
can
is
imagine what it will be like for
it
people.
is proper for them to say so because you see everybody is envisaging a crisis. They don't want to take it again because they know that the CBN is so adamant that every old note must cease to circulate from the 31st of January when the new notes are not indeed in circulation. If the new notes are not in circulation as at today, and we have less than 1 week to go, it is normal that an average trader will reject the old note because he's not sure of getting the new note. He is not sure of when he will take the new notes, the old notes to the banks, and the banks will accept them because they foresee a crisis. They foresee a crisis that if you collect the old notes at a certain time, the banks will start to reject it. The most ideal thing is for the central bank to circulate the new notes very well. Circulate it to banks, let the new notes overwhelm
The old notes.
the old ones, and there will be some level of comfort even within traders. Because some of them will open their wallets, they will see the new notes and have lesser of the old notes. If that is the situation, they won't have any cause to panic because you will think that these traders are not reading newspapers. No, the world has become a whole community.
Do you think the time frame should actually be extended?
It should be extended, of course, because the way we are going, the circulation of the new notes cannot go round before 31st.
I was at the bank on the weekend or so, so I was trying to withdraw money. Apparently, it was just one ATM that was dispensing the new notes, and there was somebody who was just there and refused to move out of that
And it
particular.
was just
I was
collecting.
just it was like
I
she just kept
experienced that too.
collecting and
I
collecting and collecting,
experienced
and I'm
that
like,
too. She want to keep the new notes.
exactly. And so every other person had to wait for her. And she just don't worry. And she had like different ATM cards with her, just
Yes,
trying to
it
withdraw
is
the new notes and
normal
all
with
that.
Nigerians. You know, when you have new currencies, people want to hoard them in their homes in case they have a situation where there will be scarcity of the new notes. It is normal, normal panic mode for people to want to have all the new currencies. At least I have witnessed change of currencies 2 3 times in Nigeria since I have become an adult. It has always been the same trend. Once you see the new notes, you will probably go to the bank to withdraw 20, you end up withdrawing 200,000. And that's why the federal government, I mean the central bank, put a limit
Yeah,
to
withdrawal
the amount
limits.
of money you can withdraw across the counter and from the ATMs. So that lady will get to a limit where she won't be able to withdraw all she wanted because
But then
the
again, I see that it speaks of the selfishness because at the end of the day, when you look at it, you're just like, I want it.
no, you said that's why she came with different ATM cards with
Yeah.
different accounts. But you see, it is absolutely wrong for you guys to have allowed her. You know, it's the same thing everywhere. You want to hoard the new currency for whatever reason because you feel you have access to it now. and you are envisaging a crisis. Why must we envisage a crisis each time we have a new innovation in Nigeria? It shouldn't be so.
Yes. All right, so let's take a look at this one. And of course, we're talking about the collection of PVCs. And yesterday it ended at the wards, but obviously we still have, a long chain of people who haven't collected their PVCs, and now they have to move straight to the local government. But some stakeholders are asking INEC to, give more
Extend.
extended, basically. But INEC is saying that they cannot continue because of the paucity of funds. What's your take on it?
Why must people talk about paucity of funds? When you have an election ahead of you, the same organization is coming on radio, coming on TV to say that go and collect your PVC, and you are talking about money. This is what I keep saying about our administrative thoughts. It is faulty. Why would you sit down? So you are not interested in the election that is coming up. You are just interested in how much you are spending. There is a vote for this election. There is a vote for the distribution of voters' cards. Why are people afraid to spend these votes as budgeted? No, that excuse that paucity of funds is unacceptable to me. People must not be denied their right to vote for whatever reasons. INEC, the National Publicity Secretary of INEC, stated during the commencement of this collection of PVC exercise that they have enough funds to run through this election. Why would somebody else be talking about positive of funds? Why would there be paucity of funds when you have a duty to perform? You have a duty to ensure that every adult Nigeria that qualifies to vote is not denied that right. That excuse is unacceptable. If they must extend the collection of voters' cards, they should extend it.
Mm.
Otherwise, it is a criminal act under the electoral law to deny people of their right to vote.
All right, so let's talk about petrol price. And of course, major marketers are now selling for 185 naira per liter, but independent marketers are now selling for still 300 and above. But despite this whole disparity in price and all of that, we can still see that there are still long queues. And you're about to share your experience. Maybe you should take it from there.
Precious, it is a shame that as an oil producing country, we are having this crisis. It is a shame that as an oil producing country, we have no functional refineries. We only import products. You sell your crude for 5 trillion, you use 7.5 trillion to import. What economic sense is that decision making? It is not making any economic sense at all. We've been talking about the need for us to have private refineries since government has failed in the area of ensuring that our refineries are properly managed. Since government have failed in the area of ensuring that our refineries are well managed economically. Approve private companies to set up refineries, not the gigantic ones that we used to have. What we have a refinery in Kaduna, Warri, Port Harcourt, and I think Eleme or somewhere. We have 4 refineries, but none of the 4 refineries are functional. Yet huge sums of money are voted for the maintenance of workers for the same refineries that are not producing refined products. So why don't you sit down as a government and think of licensing private companies to establish private refineries? All you do need to do is to assign a percentage of the crude that you are producing to them. And of course, they will pay. You are not giving them the crude oil free. They will pay. It's a way of making money, and a better one for that matter than putting your crude oil on the IC to be sold abroad, and at the end of the day 70% of the crude oil that are meant for sale would have been stolen, and dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars will now go into private hands. Why don't you channel those crude oil to refineries, private refineries? They will pay. They are not going to buy it free. You are not giving it out free. Let them refine. If you are now convinced that the private refineries, what you get from them will not be enough for the consumption of Nigerians, then you can decide to give license to those who want to import. Also private refineries. Private importers. So if you give them license to import and we have private refineries, you have created a level playing field in the downstream sector of the petroleum industry. Then you can now deregulate and leave the pricing to the forces of demand and supply, but ensure that the products are there. Now, we keep hearing about people saying that they want to deregulate. Deregulate on what basis? Deregulate imported fuel. I have also been told that Dangote refinery capable of producing 650,000 barrels of refined products per day will start. Yes, I believe that, but you are not solving the problem. What if that refineries goes bad or it is going through turnaround maintenance? What happens to refined products? We are going to go back to square one. So why don't you let us have as many modular refineries as possible? Modular refineries are so easy to maintain. I have gone out of this country on holidays, and what I go out to do is to look for, especially in countries where they have modular refineries like Dubai, to go for those refineries, go and visit them and see how they operate. I have been to Agadez. That's the border town between Nigeria and Niger Republic. The private refinery there is owned by a Nigerian. Let anybody dispute this. It is owned by Bono Sheriff Musa, and Nigeria purchased refined product from that refinery. What is wrong in building that kind of refinery in Nigeria? There are Nigerians who own private refineries in Republic of Benin. So what is wrong in a government licensing those companies? Let them have a free hand. At the end of the day, if they are producing and you feel that there is an urgent need to complement what they produce with imported petrol, license companies to import fuel, you have, I don't know those who have to advise this government, you have created a level playing field in that sector for the businessmen that will be operating their private refineries and the ones that will be importing. You have created a level playing field for those of us who are the consumers of the refined products. I can choose to buy refined products, locally refined products, which will be cheaper anyway than the imported products, depending on the grading. In those days when we were growing up, we used to have ordinary and super type of petroleum products. So you decide which one you want to buy. Of course, super is more expensive than ordinary. So you decide which one you want to buy. But now you just have PMS. Some will spoil your car, some will destroy your engine, But if we have private refinery, it's a simple economic action. You would have created a level playing field. All these talks about increasing the price of fuel, yes, you have no choice because as at today, NNPC seems to be the only company that is importing fuel into the country. All the other private companies are not importing because of the exchange rate of the dollars to Naira. You just talked about them speculating that the petroleum product prices will go to, PMS price will go to 800. Yes, it will. If you compare the exchange rate, which is the major currency, dollar to the dollar, which is the major currency with which they have to import this fuel. Does that make any economic sense to you? I don't know. But if you sit down and look at having private refineries, and allowing people to import side by side the operations of the private refinery. You can imagine if you have modular refineries in Ogun State, one located between Lagos and Ogun State, another one located between Oyo and Ondo State, one located between Ekiti and Kwara States, and build them, let people build them, license them, let them build it. I'm sure within 6 months, people will come up with private refineries. I don't know why the government is reluctant. They keep saying there is one private refinery in Edo State that will be commissioned this year. We are in 2023 now. We have not seen any one of them commissioned. Buhari is in Lagos today. I hope he will be able to commission the Dangote refinery before he leaves, because that's the promise that we got. That by January this year, Dangote refinery will be commissioned and petrol prices will be stable and all that. But you see, if you know the system, the business system that Dangote company thrives in, you will be weary of whatever is going to come out of Dangote refineries, because Dangote enjoys monopoly. And once that refinery starts, there is no other refinery that will take off in Nigeria. You can bet with me.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ali Mohammed,
You are
CEO
most
of
welcome.
Magnet Communications. Thank you for sharing your thought with us this morning. Also, remember that you can equally like, share, and subscribe on all our social media platforms showing on your screen. To read up stories, you can go to our website at www.vanguardngl.com to find out more. I am Precious Chukudi, and thank you for watching.
You're most welcome.